This is Dan with Birdines, returning after a pretty long hiatus to talk about a real special watch, the Lange 1 Daymatic. Even though this is really not that new of a watch per se, what makes it special is its blue color. And really, the only thing that really makes this watch truly special, as I said, is the blue color. That and the fact that Lange really doesn't release that many technical updates to their watches. So the fact that a blue dial, given how conservative Lange is, makes this truly an unforgettable watch. Plus, given how many blue watches there are on the market today, you know, with the Rolex GMT Master 2, let's see, Ulysse Nardin has a real nice watch, several other watches that are out in the market today. Blue is a really popular color, and A. Lange Söhne really has a family of blue watches that are pretty good looking, and they're only released for 2017. So, you know, this is a pretty rare watch that we were lucky enough to have at Birdines Jewelry. So this Lange 1 Daymatic is pretty much par for the course for the Daymatic family. It has an LO2 1.1 movement. It's got an automatic movement as the 021.1 movement is. It's got all the workmanship that you'd expect from Lange. Every last little piece is machined and has a real nice polish. There's like perlage and everything on it. Really beautiful. Truthfully, for me, I actually prefer it compared to the manual wind movement of the standard Lange 1. So if you're a automatic watch person, which I am truthfully, plus you prefer more the ability to see more machination, I think this is the Daymatic is definitely the way to go. It's got 426 parts. It took 6+ months to build this thing. You know, 6 to 12 is generally the amount of time, just because it's built, torture tested. We were kind of lucky enough to see this really awesome video where they show it, you know, going through like a kicking machine. It's drop tested, all kinds of other stuff that it goes through, and then they disassemble it and actually rebuild it. So this thing has already been through, what they say, over 100+ years of torture testing, simulated years of torture testing, and then they disassemble it, put it, you know, replace any sort of broken parts or anything like that, put it back together again before they ship it out to us, and then it's actually sold. So this is going to actually go to a pretty lucky customer who's going to get it after already 100 years of simulated testing. So kind of like Patek, you know, says, you know, it's not just built for you, it's built for your grandchildren or whatever the heck it is. This watch, you know, all Langes are truly made for that. So really the biggest difference between this watch and the standard Lange 1, beyond the automatic movement compared to the manual wind movement, is the replacement of the power reserve function with the day function. So if you're the kind of person who's you know, who likes to see what day it is, or just wants something different, this is a really nice watch to have. You know, while I've kind of written before in some of the things I've done for the website here at Birdines Jewelry, the power reserve doesn't get any respect, just because it is such a nice thing to have. This is really a nice function to have, especially when it's something that, you know, Lange people will only notice if they're really an enthusiast. They're really going to see this different movement, especially because it's basically like the standard Lange 1 dial flipped. As you can see, the Lange 1 here on the right, and then the Lange 1 Daymatic on the left here. It basically takes the standard Lange 1 dial and flips it on. So it's a really cool movement. Plus, just as normal. If you need to set the date, real easy. Hit the pusher, like so. Super cool watch. Super cool. I love Langes. They're amazing watches. The craftsmanship that goes into these things, the fact that it goes through so much torture testing, taken apart, put back together again. It's a really spectacular watch. Plus, this blue construction, plus the fact that you can barely see it now, but it's a really deep navy crocodile strap here. Makes this a really cool watch. Makes it completely on trend for 2017. A really awesome watch to add to any collection. It's white gold. It is a little pricey, as you can see. It's $43.2. So if you can afford it, this is a really cool watch to add to any collection. This is a really this is a grail watch. They're not making many of them. Again, it's only available for 1 year. But anyway, if I could have it, I would. So it's 39.5 millimeters by 10.4 millimeters thick, and surprisingly, even though it's less than 40 millimeters, it actually wears pretty big. So just to kind of compare that, I'm actually wearing an IWC Portugueser, and even though that watch is, what is it, a good 2 millimeters larger, Portugueser doesn't seem gargantuan. So you see a lot of watches out there where 2 millimeters makes it look absolutely massive next to it. The Lange actually, kind of holds its own on a larger man's wrist. I'm 6'6". I think I've got, if I remember correctly, I've got like a 7.5, 8-inch wrist. And this thing actually, this thing will actually fit on my wrist well. I can actually wear this without any shame or anything like that. So, same thing with the standard old Lange 1, which is 1 millimeter smaller than the Daymatic. It's not lost on my wrist, which is truly amazing. For me, before, I wouldn't even wear watches that were less than 42 millimeters, let alone ones that were less than 40. But these Langes, for whatever reason, whatever they do with them, they actually wear larger. And I think it's because they have this kind of tapered edge, on the case. Makes them seem a lot larger than they actually are, where it's not just the dial. It's not all dial. So it's kind of like the Portugueser here, where it's all dial, and then it just kind of starts the case and just boom, it falls off. The Lange has dial, then you have kind of a larger case edge here that kind of makes it wear a lot larger. So any man, any size can actually wear these watches without any sort of shame, and you can have this great craftsmanship. Spectacular watch. So again, for me, if I had to choose between the Lange 1 and the Lange 1 Daymatic, it's worth the money. I know, boy, $43,000 is a lot of coin, but boy, it is worth it. But if you can't swing it, there's always the Lange 1, and that is truthfully a grail watch in and of itself. This blue is only going to be out here for a little bit, and the Lange 1 Daymatic is, because it's so rare, because it's only out for 1 year, because of the blue color, this thing is going to hold its value. And I'm not just saying that just because we're here in Britain's George, but just because I'm a watch collector and because it's a spectacular looking watch. I don't think these blues are going to be fading anytime soon. And Lange, when they say they only make a couple thousand watches worldwide, I mean, they mean it. We're a big jewelry store, and it is tough for us to get these things. So this is a spectacular watch, and boy, out there, if you I feel lucky just to hold this in my hands right now. And I wish I could impart just a little bit. I hope I am. Just how super amazing, super amazing, how just incredible a craftsmanship of this watch is. Really just an incredible watch. Anyway, this is Dan and Birdians signing off.